Namo Vishuddhaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaura Bhakti Namaste Satsang Om Janatana Dasya Janajana Salataya Chakshusmilacharjena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Sri Caitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Vitale Sayam Bhuta Padamayam Yadati Sathagan Mantra Kapatubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Bhayavita Patitanam Pabhinevyo Vaishnavyo next week you and GB will be far away, and then I'll be giving class, and I think I'll be thinking that maybe you're coming late, and then the class will go on, and I'll be thinking, he's really late today, GB's really late today, and then the class will be over, and I'll think, they're really late today, but then I'll remember, oh, now I know why, because they're in the United States. What will you learn while you're there? Yeah, learn, not just play. And Zivi, I'm going to ask you next, so. Yeah, well, do you have any plan? I think you should make a plan of something wonderful to learn. You could learn how to drive on the right side of the road. Be one thing you can learn. It's the left side in Australia, right? And it's the left side in India. Yes? And then it's the right side in the United States. Because they think everything they do is right. And Australia doesn't want to be left behind. That's how you can remember it, GB. Huh?
Followed England, that's what.
Huh?
We had to follow England, which is...
Who are already left behind. So. But at least they're not hungry.
East?
At least they're not hungry, like some countries. And some are so slippery. Which is the slippiest country? Yeah, okay. Which one goes gobble, gobble, gobble? Wait a second, I don't... didn't raise your hand. Let me think of another one. What country, when they chant their rounds, they have a funny way of chanting. They chant on they don't use their fingers. The Japanese. Some people thought it was funny. You could have that one. Okay, we'll spare you. We'll go back to Caitanya Caritamrta. Jivi, did you think that was funny? A little bit, okay. So we're going to begin the 6th chapter of Antya Lila. Of Madhya Lila. And this is how it begins. Because Mahaprabhu he's gone to, he's traveling from Shantipur, and then there were 2 major stops where we heard pastimes. One in Gopinath, Ramuna, and then in Kathak, he heard about Shakshi Gopal. And now he's moved on towards Jagannath Puri, which was his goal. Nomi tam Gorachandram ya Kutarka Karka Shashayam Sarvabhaumam Sarvabhuma Bhakti Bhuma Nam Acharat. This is Krishnadas Kaviraj giving a summary of the main point of this chapter of Caitanya Caritamrta. He says, I offer my respectful obeisances unto Lord Gaura Chandra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who converted the hard-hearted Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, the reservoir of all bad logic, into a great devotee. The reservoir of all bad logic into a great devotee. Which country is most breakable, easily breakable? Oh, that's calling you, but you already called out. Maybe I can't chastise her. China. But now we have to leave those thoughts behind. Jai Jai Gaura Chandra Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavinda. All glories to Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu. All glories to Lord Nityananda Prabhu. All glories to Advaita Acharya. And all glories to all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya. So always Krishnadas Kaviraj, before he begins to speak, he well understanding that he's being carried by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by the mercy of the devotees, and by the mercy of Govinda Gopinath, especially Govinda and Madana Mohan, Madana Gopal. He's always offering them respect. He doesn't think himself independently powerful, independently learned, independent in any way at all. But he considers himself a devoted servant of the Lord, of Mahaprabhu, of the deities. And that is what inspires him and impels him, pushes him to continue writing, even though he's quite elderly at this time. And later on, in the final chapter of Caitanya Caritamrta, he starts reciting the different problems he has. He can't see properly, he can't walk, it's uncomfortable when he sits down, it's uncomfortable when he stands, when he walks. So it's very, very, very difficult for him. He has arthritis, but yet he continues to write because of an internal inspiration to serve, to please. And he's empowered to do this because of his complete sincerity. Complete sincerity and service. No interest in selfish activities at all. No interest in sense enjoyment at all. Just interested in serving purely. Well, that is purely. Anyabilasita samya. Jnana kama alavrita. No selfishness. And he's so glorified because of his empowered writing, but yet he doesn't take any praise as belonging to him. He even says at the end that when I say I write, that's not exactly true. I'm taking dictation more than writing myself. Of course he's putting it down, and of course his pure heart is the perfect vehicle that Sri Madan Mohan is using, and he considers that he's gotten the order from Madan Mohan to write, because he came before Madan Mohan. Do you know where Madan Mohan is in Vrindavan? It's on the top of a small hill. And you know what the name of that hill is? Dwadas Aditya Til. 12 sons arose there after Krishna had chastised Kaliya and sent him away. He had been in the water for a long time, so he was very, very cold. So he went on top of this hill, and 12 suns appeared to warm him. And Sanatana Goswami, in a very interesting way, when that's described in the 13th chapter of Antilila, and you have to remember this. In the 13th chapter of Antilila, Jagannananda Pandit goes to Vrindavan. And when he left Puri, Mahaprabhu, after giving him permission to go, Mahaprabhu asked Jagannananda Pandit to stay in the association of Sanatana Goswami and don't leave his association. And tell him to get me a place, find me a nice place to stay, because I'm coming to Vrindavan soon. So find me a nice place to stay. And actually, interestingly enough, when Srila Rupa Goswami left the association of Mahaprabhu in Jagannath Puri, Mahaprabhu told them, you should just stay in Vrindavan from now on. Stay in Vrindavan. And I'm coming again soon. I'm coming. So Sanatana Goswami, Jagannatha carried that message to Vrindavan, but he didn't tell Sanatana Goswami that until just at the time when he was leaving. And then he said, Mahaprabhu is coming soon. Please find him a place. Mahaprabhu told me to tell you this. But he told them just when he was leaving, and there's no explanation of this. But one can relatively easily understand that when Sanatana Goswami and Jagadananda Pandit were together, they would talk about Mahaprabhu and his pastimes, and they would visit all the holy places, the 12 forests. Sanatana Goswami took them all around to the 12 forests of Vrindavan, and they would talk about Krishna. And then after several months, it was time for him to leave. It was time for Jagadananda Pandit to leave. And it was time because he couldn't tolerate the separation from Mahaprabhu anymore. So he wanted to go back. He had to go back. Or you could also say that Mahaprabhu was calling him back. So just when he was going to leave, he told Sanatana Goswami that Mahaprabhu was coming. Because once he left, then Sanatana Goswami would feel so much separation from him. He would miss him so much. Someone so intimately connected to Mahaprabhu, who they could discuss Mahaprabhu's pastimes in the same exact mood, or almost the same mood as each other. And they would talk about Krishna. So Sanatana Goswami would be in such tearful separation from Jagadananda Pandit that he gave him something. Jagadananda Pandit kindly gave him something to hope for. So Mahaprabhu was saying that he's going to come and you find him a place to stay. He gave him some service too. So Mahaprabhu didn't come a second time. Or it's not recorded. He may have come in a subtle form. He may have come due to the strong separation of Srila Rupa and Sanatana, because they were always being empowered. Mahaprabhu had empowered them to write, to preach, to uncover holy places. They were fully empowered. So in that empowerment, they were experiencing the presence of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But other than that, there's no record of Mahaprabhu coming a second time at all. But the place where Jagadananda Pandit, Sanatana Goswami found for Mahaprabhu to stay was Dwadasa Ditya Tirth. And that's where the Madan Mohan deity was installed. And also, that's where Sanatana Goswami made his bhajan kutir. So, it's not known exactly where he was thinking, the exact place he was thinking Mahaprabhu would stay, but he wanted to stay near that place. So, right on the top of the hill, overlooking the Yamuna River, is the bhajan kutir of Srila Sanatana Goswami, and also the place where Madan Mohan deity was installed, and also the place where he chose for Mahaprabhu to stay. So these great devotees were empowered by Mahaprabhu to do specific services, as Srila Prabhupada was empowered to do his service, entrusted and empowered to do the service of spreading the Krishna consciousness movement throughout the world. Because Krishna Shakti Nahi Vina Tarpravatana, one can't do this unless one is empowered. So see Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Maharaj, knowing that he was acting on the order of Madan Gopal, Madan Mohan deity, and he always would glorify the devotees and Mahaprabhu, and then he would humbly begin writing. And in this way, he put down this very deep and mysterious and very sweet poetic work called Caitanya Caritamrta. So then in the third verse, it begins to describe the introductory obeisances have been completed. And now Kaviraj Goswami begins to describe Mahaprabhu's leaving from Alarnath. He was alone now because he wanted to enter Jagannath Puri alone because there was a pastime that was going to take place. So Avesha Chalila Prabhu Jagannath Mandire. So Avesh means he was internally, he was filled with ecstasy. And he went, then Mahaprabhu entered the Jagannath Mandir, and Jagannath Deki, seeing Lord Jagannath, Prema Hoila Astire. He became completely ecstatic, more ecstatic, and very restless. That's how Prabhupada translates astire, because stire means situated strongly, astire means restless. So he became, here's Prabhupada's translation, in ecstasy of Asia. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went from Alarnath to the temple of Jagannath. And after seeing Lord Jagannath, he became very restless. Why? Prema hoila astire, due to his love for Krishna, for his love for Lord Jagannath, who he saw at Shyamasundar. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he went swiftly to embrace Lord Jagannath. But when he entered the temple, he was so overwhelmed with love of Godhead that he fainted to the floor. So just by seeing, well, first by anticipating, thinking I'm soon going to see Lord Jagannath, I'm soon going to see Lord Jagannath, and then seeing Lord Jagannath, he felt so much ecstasy, he became restless and ran towards him to embrace him. But he was so overwhelmed, he fainted and fell to the floor. How many of you have seen Lord Jagannath in Jagannath Puri?
I tried to go in the entrance and I couldn't.
Really? With their feet?
No, he just looked at me, the guard. I went up there. I said,
No, they're very
they can beat you up, can't they?
They not only can, they do.
Mm-hmm.
And they use sticks sometimes.
I've heard. It's not fair.
It's not fair. You pray to Lord Jagannath. But I'll tell you a little story of something that happened to me. Is that when I was waiting for someone right in front of the Singadwar, in front of the entrance, and a shopkeeper, as shopkeepers do, want you to come in their shops. In India, they go, and so this shopkeeper, his shop was right in front of the Jagannath temple, so in front of the Singadwar, actually just to the side. And he said, "How are you?" And I was in just a superficial mood, and I said, "Not very good." He said, "Why?" And in a very superficial mood, not serious, I said, "Oh, because I can't see Lord Jagannath. I'm not allowed to enter the temple. Even Vasudham's not allowed to enter the temple."
White skin.
No. It's not due to the white skin, because Kashmiris are allowed to enter the temple. There's other reasons. But Indira Gandhi wasn't allowed to enter the temple even. So I said, "Oh," but very superficially, that, "Oh, I'm not happy because I can't go and see Lord Jagannath." And he said, "Yes, you can." I said, "What?" He said, "Come up here." He said, and so I stepped up to his into his shop, and then he brought me to one corner on the left of the shop, and he said, "Look," and he pointed to Petit Pavan Jagannath. You know who Petit Pavan Jagannath is? He's so wonderful. He's so kind. And when I saw Petit Pavan Jagannath, I thought, I've been into so many Jagannath temples. And when I'm there in front of Lord Jagannath, usually I'm not there at all. My mind is wandering to one thing or another. So even if I was allowed in, I wouldn't really be there at all. So I had some realization that I should take advantage of Petit Pavan Jagannath and really be there in front of him. Yeah, so although some of us may not have been into the Jagannath temple, but raise your hand if you've ever seen Lord Jagannath. That's all of us. Raise your hand if you've really seen Lord Jagannath. No one wants to be so bold, except for, okay, you're just being humble by not raising your hand now. And I'm sure there's a story behind it too. Yes? But not quite now, but I bet there is. After you can tell me. Because when Mahaprabhu would actually see Lord Jagannath, he actually saw Lord Jagannath. And this is explained in several places. He was always in so much ecstasy. He was completely in ecstasy because he actually saw Lord Jagannath. His consciousness was in the proper mood. Of course, he was in the mood of Srimati Radharani at this time, it seems. But he was there in the mood of prema, prem dekite, because he saw with prem. He had his darshan, and therefore he fainted to the floor. And then, so Mahaprabhu was right in front of Lord Jagannath, and he's on the ground in ecstasy. And when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fell down, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya happened to see him. When the watchman, the Padicha, that's how, instead of Chokidar, when the watchman threatened to beat the Lord, get up, stop this, get up, you can't lie down in the temple, threatened to beat the Lord, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya immediately forbade him, he stopped him from doing so. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was very surprised to see the personal beauty of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as well as the transcendental transformations wrought on his body due to love of Godhead. All the different transformations, all the ecstatic symptoms, vikar, premer vikar, all the ecstatic symptoms that Mahaprabhu was exhibiting. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu remained unconscious for a long time. Meanwhile, the time for offering prasadam to Lord Jagannath came, and the Bhattacharya tried to think of a remedy. While Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was unconscious, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, with the help of the watchman and some disciples, carried Mahaprabhu to his own home and laid him down in a very sanctified room, in a holy room. Gare ani pavitra stane rakira soyan. So he laid him down in his own place, in a pavitra stane, in a purified, a sanctified place. He brought him there. Srila Prabhupada has a short purport. At that time, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya lived on the southern side of the Jagannath temple. His home was practically on the beach and was known as Markandeya Sarastata. At present, it is used as the monastery of Gangamata. You've been there, Jagatarani? The monastery of Gangamata? But at that time, it appears the ocean was coming closer. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, there was Mahaprabhu lying down in his house, exhibiting ecstasies, and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya examined the body of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he saw that his abdomen was not moving. So when you breathe, put your hand on your abdomen. Does it move when you breathe? Yeah? Yes, but Mahaprabhu's abdomen wasn't moving, and he was not breathing. And seeing his condition, the Bhattacharya became very anxious. The Bhattacharya then took a fine cotton swab, some cotton, and he put it before the Lord's nostrils, because it has fine little threads, and they'd be able to pick up whether there was breathing, any breath going in and out, just by a slight movement. And when he saw the cotton move very slightly, he became hopeful that the Lord was still alive. Sitting beside Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he thought, this is a transcendental sattvika vikar, transcendental ecstatic transformation brought about by love for Krishna. Upon seeing the signs of Sudipta Sattvika, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya could immediately understand the transcendental ecstatic transformation in the body of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Such a sign takes place only in the bodies of eternally liberated devotees. Nitya Siddha Bhakti say, Sudipta Bhava Hoy. Here's Srila Prabhupada's purport. The word Sudipta Sattvika is explained in the following way by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. What words are going to be explained? Sudipta Sattvika. The Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu mentions 8 kinds of transcendental transformations in the body of advanced devotees. These are sometimes checked by the devotee, stopped from externally manifesting. And there are 2 stages of such checking, technically called Dhumayita and Jalita. The Dhumayita, the smoking stage, is exhibited when only 1 or 2 transformations are slightly present, and it is possible to conceal them. When more than 2 or 3 transcendental transformations are manifest, it is when more than 2 or 3 transcendental transformations are manifest, and it is still possible to conceal them, although with great difficulty. That stage is called Jalita, ignited, lighted. So one is smoking and the other is lighted, Jalita. When 4 or 5 symptoms are exhibited, the dipta, the blazing stage, has been reached. When 5, 6, or all 8 symptoms are simultaneously manifest, that position is called udipta, inflamed. So blazing and inflamed, still more terms to describe the intensity of the manifestations of ecstatic symptoms. And when all 8 symptoms are multiplied 1,000 times and are all visible at once, the devotee is in the Sudipta, the intensely inflamed stage. And Nitya Siddha Bhakta indicates the eternally liberated associates of the Lord. And such devotees enjoy the company of the Lord in 4 relationships: a servant, friend, parent, or conjugal lover. That's the explanation of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So Mahaprabhu is exhibiting all 8 of the Sattvika Bhavas, the moods, all manifestations, all 8 of them were blazing, because this is the external manifestation of his prema bhakti. the love that was blazing. So they're manifest without going through the intelligence or anything, just manifest directly in his body. What do you think of that? See? The bird's wings were flapping right above us. You know what that means? Do you know what that means? Only Jivi knows what that means, maybe. What does that mean? I couldn't hear. A little loud. Yes. In the same way, the devotee is experiencing ecstasy, tries to protect his consciousness. Not protect his consciousness, protect what his experience from the eyes of those who are not qualified to understand it. Like the watchman, for instance. His mood was to beat him because he thought he was a pretender, and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, being enlightened from within and being very learned, he could understand this is not ordinary and it's not pretending. That he's experiencing such an intense degree of ecstasy that only the eternal associates of the Lord can exhibit. The residents of Braja. Because the love for the Lord of the residents of Braja is unequaled. And we, only having material conceptual abilities, we cannot understand what they're experiencing internally that causes them to externally exhibit these symptoms. But it is all the deepest kind of spiritual love. And separation in the hope of meeting sometimes. Their love is so great that the manifestation of their love comes out in these ways in their bodies, their transcendental bodies. So it's manifest in one out of the four relationships of servant, friend, parent, or conjugal lover. Adhirudabhav. So this is explained by Sanatana Goswami. All these definitions are actually explained by Sanatana Goswami towards the end of the and also explained in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and Ujjala Lamani. So it's Adhirudabhava, Yandra, Tandra Evikara. You recognize this. This uncommon ecstasy symptoms of Adhirudabhav are appearing in the body of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. This is very wonderful. How are they possible in the body of a human being? So in the purport, that Srila Prabhupada explains, quoting Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, what Adhirudabhav is and Adhiruddha Mahabhav. So Adhiruddha Mahabhav is the same as Adhiruddha Mahabhav. It is explained by Srila Rupa Goswami in his Ujjala Lamani. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur quotes Rupa Goswami as follows: the loving propensity of the ashray, that's the devotee, there's the vishaya, the object of the devotion, and there's the ashraya, the reservoir of the devotion. So the devotee is the ashraya. The loving propensity of the devotee, the ashraya, toward the vishaya, the Lord, becomes so ecstatic that even after enjoying the company of the beloved, the devotee feels that his enjoyment is insufficient. It's not enough. Not satisfied. At such a time, the lover sees the beloved in different ways. Such a development of ecstasy is called anurag. When anurag reaches its highest limit and becomes perceivable in the body, it is called bhava. When the bodily symptoms are not very distinct, however, the emotional state is still called anubhav, not bhava. When bhava, ecstasy, is intensified, it is called mahabhava. The symptoms of Mahabhava are visible only in the bodies of eternal associates like the gopis. So this is, well, the word bhava here and anuraga, they have technical meanings. These are the technical meanings all on the stage of prema, on the stage of prema bhakti. There's different stages of prema bhakti. Sneha, man, anurag, and different moods in bhav and mahabhav. So different stages. And the topmost is Mahabhava. And that's only exhibited, basically only exhibited by Srimati Radharani and perhaps intimate devotees on that level. So while the Bhattacharya was thinking in this way at his home, all the devotees of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, headed by Nityananda Prabhu, approached the Singha Dwara, the entrance door of the temple. Have you seen the Singha Dwara?
Is that the main entrance to Jagannath?
Well, it depends which side you're coming from. It's the Singha Dwara. That's the entrance closest. Yes. Yes. You. What? That means yes, right? Have you seen the Singha Dwara? And of course you've seen it. How many times have you visited Jagannath Puri? So the devotees, the other devotees, the four devotees, does anyone remember one of the names of the other devotees who were with Mahaprabhu, whom Mahaprabhu left behind? Who remembers one name? Mukunda Datta. You remember two names, but who remembers one? Anyone else remember Mukunda Datta? Lord Nityananda. Damodar Pandit. So Damodar Pandit, Jagannanda Pandit, Nityananda Prabhu, and Mukunda Datta. So, well, the Bhattacharya was thinking in that way with the Lord in his home. All the devotees of Caitanya Mahaprabhu, headed by Nityananda Prabhu, approached the Singha Dwara, the entrance door of the temple. There, the devotees heard the people talking about a mendicant, sannyasi, who had come to Jagannath Puri and seen the deity of Jagannath. Everyone was talking. And the people said that the sannyasi had fallen unconscious upon seeing the deity of Lord Jagannath, and because his consciousness did not return, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya had taken him to his home. So they overheard everyone talking like this. And hearing this, the devotees could understand that the people were speaking of Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu. And just then, Gopinath Acharya arrived. So all this is the arrangement of Krishna's Leela Shakti, the pastimes, potency of the Lord. And Gopinath Acharya was a resident of Nadia district. He was the son-in-law of Visharada and a devotee of Caitanya Mahaprabhu. He knew the true identity of his lordship. He knew who Mahaprabhu was. He knew that Mahaprabhu was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So it's very interesting is that during Mahaprabhu's time there were hundreds of people, hundreds and hundreds of people who accepted him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It wasn't one or two or anything like that. But hundreds of people understood that he was the Supreme Lord. Hundreds and hundreds. In Nadia, the people who he grew up with, they understood he was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They had seen so many things. Prabhupada's short purport. Maheshwar Visharad was a classmate of Nilambara Chakravarti's. He lived in the Nadia district in a village called Vidyanagar. Have you been to Vidyanagar? Yes. I think so. Yes? Yes. Have you been to Vidyanagar? Have you been to Vidyanagar? Yes. I saw you there. That's how I know. Yeah. When Navadvip Parikrama, every year they go. I thought I was too. Oh, no. This is on Navadvip Parikrama, everyone goes. It's so nice there. You've been there? Do you remember it now? And there's pencils, Mahaprabhu's pencils. Was that something like that? Do you remember? Okay, trees. TV, did you take those pencil trees? That was a no, I presume. So, Gopinath Acharya had been previously acquainted with Mukunda Datta, and when the Acharya saw him in Jagannath Puri, he was very much astonished. Mukunda Datta offered obeisances unto Gopinath Acharya upon meeting him. When the Acharya embraced Mukunda Datta and inquired, then the Acharya embraced Mukunda Datta and inquired about news of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Mukunda Datta replied, "The Lord has already arrived here. We have come with him." As soon as Gopinath Acharya saw Nityananda Prabhu, he offered his obeisances unto him. In this way, meeting all the devotees, he asked about news of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again and again. Tell me more, tell me about Mahaprabhu. Where is he? What's he been doing? Why is he here? Mukunda Datta continued, after accepting the sannyas order, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to Jagannath Puri, and he has brought all of us with him. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left our company and walked ahead to see Lord Jagannath. We have just arrived and are now looking for him. From the talk of the people in general, we have guessed that the Lord is now in the house of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Upon seeing Lord Jagannath, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became ecstatic and fell unconscious, and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya has taken him to his home in this condition. And just as I was thinking of meeting you, by chance, we have actually met. Mukunda Datta said. So first, let us all go to the house of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and later we shall come to see Lord Jagannath. They were at the gate of the Jagannath temple, but instead of going in to see Lord Jagannath, which traditionally the first thing one does is one bathes and then goes to see Lord Jagannath. But even before doing that, they decided, I want to see, we have to see Mahaprabhu. The dictation was of their prema bhakti. They had to follow that. They had to do that. Hearing this and feeling very pleased, Gopinath Acharya immediately took all the devotees with him and approached the house of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Arriving at the home of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, everyone saw the Lord lying down, unconscious. Gopinath Acharya became very unhappy to see him in this condition, but at the same time, he was happy just to see the Lord. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya permitted all the devotees to enter his house, and upon seeing Nityananda Prabhu, the Bhattacharya offered him obeisances. Sarvabhauma met with all the devotees and offered them a proper welcome. They were all pleased to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The Bhattacharya then sent them all back to see Lord Jagannath, and he asked his own son, Chandaneshwar, to accompany them as a guide. Everyone was then very pleased to see the deity of Lord Jagannath. Lord Nityananda, in particular, was overwhelmed with ecstasy. Bhavete avishta. He was overwhelmed. Avishta, same. Avesh avishta. His ecstasy overwhelmed him. When Nityananda Prabhu nearly fainted, all the devotees caught him and steadied him. And that time, the priest of Lord Jagannath brought a garland that had been offered to the deity and offered that garland to Nityananda Prabhu. Ishwara Sevaka Mala Prasad Anidila. He brought that to Nityananda Prabhu. And everyone was very pleased to receive this garland worn by Lord Jagannath. Afterward, they all returned to the place where Lord Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu was staying. Uchakori Kori. Sobe Nama Sankirtan. All the devotees began to loudly chant the Hare Krishna mantra. And just before noon, the Lord regained his consciousness. Caitanya Mahaprabhu got up and very loudly chanted, Hari, Hari. No one else got very excited and loudly chanted, Hari, Hari. Hari, 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 Hari. Hari, Hari. Hari, Hari. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was very pleased to see the Lord regain consciousness, and he took the dust of the Lord's lotus feet. The Bhattacharya informed all of them, please take your midday baths immediately. Today I shall offer you Mahaprasadam, the remnants of food offered to Lord Jagannath. After bathing in the sea, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu and his devotees returned very soon. The Lord then washed his feet and sat down on a carpet, an asana, to take lunch. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya made arrangements to bring various kinds of Mahaprasadam from the Jagannath temple. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu then accepted lunch with great happiness. He was offered special rice and first-class vegetables on golden plates. He thus took lunch in the company of his devotees. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya personally distributed the prasadam. Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu requested him, please give me only boiled vegetables. Just something very, very simple. Lafra Vyanjana is a preparation from Prabhupada's purport, in which many vegetables are boiled together, and then a chinky, chaunch is added, consisting of spices like cumin, black pepper, and mustard seeds. You can offer the cakes, Mahaprabhu said, the cakes and preparations made with condensed milk to all the devotees. And hearing this, the Bhattacharya folded his hands and spoke as follows. Today, all of you please try to taste the lunch just as Lord Jagannath accepted it. And after saying this, he made them all eat the various cakes and condensed milk preparations. And after feeding them, he offered them water to wash their hands, feet, and mouths. Begging permission from Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu and his devotees, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya then went with Gopinathacharya to take lunch. And after finishing their lunch, they returned to Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Now this is a good place to end. Any questions or comments? Yes? On a certain level he didn't, or I more tactfully said, there's no record of him going to Vrindavan again. He didn't go a second time. But how he went, because he used to go and visit his mother every day. Whenever she wanted to offer him, cook for him, he would go. There's the Avirbhav manifestation, but there's no mention of either Avirbhav or direct coming. Why do you ask? Vrindavan is the place for tough. Because when Krishna was leaving Vrindavan on a courier's chariot, he said, I'm coming right back. He sent with a messenger. So, and also when the that when Mahaprabhu, not when Mahaprabhu, when Krishna was holding an assembly in his assembly house, there was a messenger came from some kings who had been captured by Jarasandha, and they were in such difficulty, and Jarasandha was going to sacrifice them. And Krishna, it was a little complicated, and I'm sure you know the pastime. Krishna said, yes, you're surrendered, I'm coming to save you. And then he went to Hastinapur, and then he stayed there for a long time. Sometime at least. Until the time was right for him to go. And then he did that. But the kings who were imprisoned and in a dangerous position, and they heard from the messenger that Krishna was coming, but it took him some time to get there. And why does Krishna have his own timing? Because he does. That's why. And why does he act the way he does? Well, because he's the only one who has the right to act the way he does, because he is the Ekala Ishwara Krishna. Everyone else is his servant. So when there's a long delay, those who are not fixed in service, they think negatively, and they may think maybe he's not going to come, or maybe he's not really there, or maybe he's just saying this, or maybe that, and their faith wavers. But Sanatana Goswami's faith didn't waver, neither those kings, and neither did the gopis became angrier than Sanatana Goswami and the kings, though. And they would say things like, we should give him up. We shouldn't talk about him. We shouldn't think about him. But they couldn't, because they couldn't stop, because their love was so great. Any other questions? Did you want to? Premananda, did you have something? Yes, Krishna Lila.
Gopinathacharya he was quite surprised when he heard from Mukunda that Lord Chaitanya taking sannyas. He wouldn't have known.
Yes.
Because he lived in Jagannath. So
and there was no email. There was what to speak of WhatsApp or Telegram or Signal or Facebook.
Twitter.
Or Twitter, excuse me. You can imagine Twitter. Oh, Mahaprabhu's taking sannyas. Like 3 seconds after he's taken sannyas, the whole world knows. That would be a better use of the program than what TikTok, right? TikTok, a little movie of him. Yes, young lady, did you have a question or a comment? Yes. Jagannatha Pandit. Well, there's no explanation that I've read, but my thinking no, because Jagannatha Pandit was leaving. He was going back to Jagannath Puri, and Sanatana Goswami, his order was to stay. So he was going to be missing the devotees, missing Jagannatha Pandit, and missing Mahaprabhu. So he gave him a hope that Mahaprabhu is coming. And in that hope, if we hold tightly to that hope, then one will get the experience of his presence. Whether he externally appears to come or doesn't, but one will get the experience of his personal presence in that way. Follow what I mean? Just like sometimes if your mother is going out and you're all alone in the house and you'll feel so sad. Yes, but just imagine, of course, your father would be there and Baj Mohan would be there. But just imagine. And then she said, don't worry, I'm coming in 10 minutes. And then you wouldn't feel so sad because you'd think, oh, it's just no. No, I don't think so. You're not two anymore, after all. Sometimes do they treat you like you're two? Oh. Okay, any other questions or comments? There won't be anyone for me to play with anymore if you two aren't here. What will I do? Play with you a little bit. You're not quite as much fun as they are. Avi, can I play with you? You won't be too much fun. Basudam's fun.
No.
Huh?
No, I bite back.
It's good. It's a different kind of playing. Any other questions or comments? Yes.
I've got a two-part question.
Oh,
So
2 parts.
yeah. So Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami, he didn't write the Caitanya Caritamrta. Most of it was dictated. So does that mean that most of the Caitanya Caritamrta that we read or hear of is how it was in the Leela, and he just the rest was commentated on?
He did write it, but he was writing what Krishna was telling him. This is what he says, that Madan Mohan was telling him from inside, but he certainly wrote it and it was coming through him. So when anyone writes anything, are they really writing it, or is Krishna giving them the intelligence to write it? So in this way he's dictating. That's what covered. That was his humble mood.
Yeah. So
Was that part A answered?
yeah.
Are we ready for part B?
Yeah, you pretty much answered part of it. So isn't that Madan Mohan, the deity, was guiding him?
The deity is the same as the person. The deity of God is God. Deity is Krishna. And yeah, that's the same. You heard the earlier chapters. That was the main point of chapter 3 and 4. That the deity is Krishna.
So he's quite elevated, then.
Who? Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami? Yeah, he's quite elevated. He's actually an eternal associate of Krishna. He's very elevated because an elevated book can't come from an unelevated person. Because one's consciousness, say Krishna is always in the heart, dictating, do this, do that, in a sense, in everyone. But we don't listen, we can't hear it. Hare Krishna. Sri Caitanya Caritamrta ki jai. Sri Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Sri Prabhupada ki jai. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya ki jai. Sri Prabhupada Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Nitya Gaur Brahmanandi Hari Hari.